Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to gather here this evening. Please guide our minds and hearts tonight as we make decisions. Lord, please help us to do what's best for the students of our parish. Thank you for being our source of guidance this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Miss Ashley. Okay. Item number 1, to consider adopting the agenda as presented. Has everybody received their agenda and had time to look over it? All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Sanderford and Mr. Arshield. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Abstain due to absence.
1 abstention by Mr. Redler. Let's see. Item number 2, to consider the minutes of the May 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Beauregard Parish School Board as published in the official journal. Has everybody read over their minutes? Okay. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt? Yeah, I think that's the one you meant. Mr. Thibodeau, a motion, a second by Ms. Neely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 3, to hear the superintendent's report. Mr. Hawley.
Thank you, Madam President. For the months of June and July, since student activity is very low in our schools, I have let Ms. Palermo take those 2 months off to continue her summer and enjoy her summer. She will return again in August, and she is keeping me apprised of any major things that will take place, so most of that will come from me. At this time, is there anyone from Fort Johnson for the Garrison Command report tonight? And then we'll move on to maintenance report from Mr. Mike Green.
Good evening. So the work orders for May, the air conditioning, we had 35 work orders, which by the time things started heating up, some of the old stuff started going down. But all that was pretty much taken care of. The new opened work orders for May was 66, and we closed out 130 work orders. The AC bond has 1 unit that's not working, waiting on a part. That's at East Beauregard, and they still have a punch list, which is pretty heavy. We went through it again, me and the C.D. Morgan engineer, and some things have been corrected, but a lot of it still hasn't been done. So suppose they're going to be working on that soon. And it's little things, but it's little things that are necessary for us to call it a job well done. At BAP, we're continuing to look at the plans to, well, at Carver, we're looking at the plans to move them and to there and get them situated. We've got the office plans approved by the fire marshal, and we painted it, and it's looking good in that aspect. We just need to start working on the building the office and securing the grounds, the fencing and stuff. DeRitter Elementary, we have the landscaping going on. DeRitter High School, the football LEDs have been completed. We had to do some landscaping there around the south side of the field on the east and west side in order to get the full lighting effect that it's supposed to, and we just finished that up yesterday. The tennis courts, I've gotten the lighting quotes for that. Finished that, getting those quotes yesterday. The Ritter Junior High, the seventh grade side is down to a punch list. It's almost complete. think there's one or two items. And they've demoed the 8th grade side and started the remodel for it. They seem to be on a little better pace than what they had been. East Beauregard, we came up with a plan for the upstairs to have fix the air conditioning, and that should be, the electrical part of that is done, and we should be starting to put the mini splits in place next week, I think Monday. If you have questions about that, you can ask me. There's a lot of stuff to it. Also there at East, we have the main sewer, the mechanical sewer. It's been giving us trouble, but we finally got Booth involved, and they're replacing the parts and fixing that, and that should be in good orders real soon. And the office security that we're working on, the exterior doors in place, and now we just have to get the 2 buzz-in doors on the inside complete. That's it. KR, the gym, the bleachers for the gym, we got the quotes in, and I put a request for a PO on that. There's about a 3.5, 4 month delivery date on that, so we're going to try to get that in as quick as we can so that we can hopefully have it in sometime before Thanksgiving. Maryville, several things going on. We finally were able to, as of yesterday, they completed the coating on it, the art room. It's been leaking for a couple of years, and we just couldn't chase it down and fix it, but they repaired that. After the 2 rains we had the last 2 days, I went both days over to check it, and not a drop leaking anywhere, so that's a big thing. We're excited about that. Can't read my own right here. The only thing that's left on that, they're going to come in Monday and on the very edges, put some flashing all the way down on that side. We'll start the fence for the
Graveyard side.
yes, for the PE and the practice football field as soon as the weather permits. We're ready to go on that. And we also, I met with engineers today to look at the drainage situation to see what we can do to improve where it doesn't flood the east wing and the auditorium anymore. So they're going to be bringing in some experts on that and see what we can do. It was draining fine today, but a little water did get in yesterday. And we're working on the bus ramp. I've got one quote worked on to get the bus ramp fixed there, raise it up 8 inches so the buses can't hit it anymore, and replacing the roof on it. I was there today, and it leaks pretty bad. Pinewood, landscaping going on. Gym bathrooms just need painting, and the faculty dressing room that we're working on inside, they started the demo on that, and they said it should be a week or so finished. Singer High, the cafeteria, it's on a punch list now. They did frame in the storeroom, and we got the electrical from that to the pre-K where it's being taken care of, where it won't be a hazard anymore to either corner of those buildings. And the bathroom project, the bid went out on it, and that's in place. We're looking for a start date pretty soon. South Beauregard High, you got the stadium bleachers. I went there yesterday. They leveled all the dirt and stuff out and are ready to start erecting. The weather's kind of threw them off this week. They're scheduled, the bleachers themselves are scheduled for Monday to start. Well, Tuesday's when they're going to start the actual going up with it, the bleacher part. Friday, barring weather problems, they're supposed to start with the press box part. But everything is still on schedule. The junior high, we got our quotes for the paint coming in. We went and looked at it today. make sure everything was up to spec as far as the classrooms, out the sizes, and how much stuff that we're going to need. So we should get started on that hopefully before July. And landscaping there, South Boulevard and the elementary are all going good. The classroom and library addition is ongoing. They got the bid out and they're ready to start work. Just a couple little details that have to get done. Anybody have any specific questions for me?
Did you check on that air conditioner in the auditorium at VHS?
It's an air handler on one side that is not functioning properly, and CMC's got a quote in for that.
So, Mr. Green, I have just a question for my understanding as to kind of how the communication works. So when there's a work order that's put in from the administration or from the specific school, it comes through here, it's set up, and there's a date assigned to it, right? To get out to whatever facility it is and do the work?
It's a triage thing where it depends on what level of importance it is.
Emergency or something like
Yeah,
that?
it doesn't necessarily have a date set on it, but like if it's, a plumbing or air conditioning or something that's really, almost an emergency situation, and then it just goes down.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking is because I know there's a few times I know of that, maintenance showed up unannounced, and I don't know where the communication breakdown was, but, they show up and whatever's, there to be worked on, if it had to have something that was, pre-done to make sure that they can get in and do the work, the administration didn't get that prepped, right? So that's a wasted effort. They have to go back, and they may other things that they're scheduled to get to before they can come back around. So I'm just trying to get an understanding, where that communication breakdown is. Is it something that's scheduled, or if it's something that they say, hey, we're done with here, let's just get out to there, while we're on our way and go do
Pretty
something?
much, they try to hit if
Okay.
they're on the road and say it in Maryville and they can get to Singer
Yep.
in 10 minutes, then they're gonna go straight there.
Okay, I guess all I would ask is just if we can, try to identify that, hey, we'll be there in 15 minutes, we'll be there in an hour. That way if they can scramble to get something done to where we can get that work completed, it works better, right?
Yes, sir.
I was just trying to get an understanding, thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Green.
I did want to say one or two little things before I go. Some of you, most of you probably know this. This might be the last time I stand before you. I'm going to be going into retirement soon, and I just wanted to tell you what a great pleasure it's been to work with you and for you. Also wanted to, say one thing of a challenge and one of encouragement. The encouragement is I've been really excited about the progress we've made the past 3 years, since, 2.5 with y'all, but it's really great to see. I know everybody has their own agendas, but I like the way that you have been working together for what's the most important thing and just kind of, working down. I mean, that's for 10 people to work hard like that. It says a lot. The other thing I want to do is compliment you on the next thing. I've done all kind of studies in leadership and stuff, but one thing that I found is that for one great hire is worth 5 good hires. Okay, and it's been proven. And this board has made 2 good hires. Okay, 2 great hires. Mr. Holly and Mr. Insman. It's been a pleasure working with them. They are for the people, for the students, for the staff, everybody. They're going to do everything they can for them. And my challenge for you is to do what makes them the great leaders they are for us. They're not looking over my shoulder. They trust me to do my job. When I don't, or I get out of line, or I get too far ahead, they rein me back in with truth and love. And that would be my challenge, for you to just continue to work side by side with them, trust them to do the job that you put them in a position to do. I really believe that we're making great strides in the parish, you know, in all areas. And it's because of you and our leadership. And I was extremely excited to be a part of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All righty. And we will move to the final point in the superintendent's report tonight. As many of you may or may not know, each year our parish, along with other parishes across the state, hosts an elementary fitness rally. And it is the time where our elementaries send their top athletes to compete on a parish level. And this year it was hosted under the direction of Mr. Mike Green and Coach Allison Shirley at DeRitter Elementary Schools, who got to show off our new school. And we had some outstanding participants and some local and state winners. And tonight, Ms. Shirley is going to come and introduce us to some of our athletic students.
5 talented students from DeRitter Elementary, also known, as you saw on the slide, we called them the Beauregard Big Shots, represented Beauregard Parish at the State Physical Fitness Meet held in Pineville, Louisiana, April 2025 of this year. These outstanding athletes were Anna Galloway. She's not here. She's pursuing other things in gymnastics in Baton Rouge. Maxwell Buckley. They're so nervous. Sam Parmley. Ariana Twine. Go up there. And Zariah Twine. And they all earned their spots by excelling at the parish level. At the state competition, they joined students from across Louisiana to compete in a series of challenging events, including the standing long jump, the 50-yard dash, the 600-meter run, curl-ups, sit and reach, pull-ups, and the shuttle run. Several of our local athletes placed on the state level. Zariah earned 3rd place in the shuttle run and 3rd place in pull-ups. Sam Parmley placed 1st in pull-ups, being named the top boy in the state of Louisiana with 16 pull-ups. Ariana achieved 3rd place in the 50-yard dash, 2nd place in pull-ups, and 3rd place in the 600-meter run. And her outstanding overall performance got her the prestigious title of Miss Louisiana Fitness. She is the #1 girl in the state. And I would like to add too that, and this Beauregard Parish needs to be proud of this, our girl last year was #1 too. Eloise Marceau from South Beauregard, and then our one from Pinewood was 2nd last year. So DeRitter's like making a name on the state level when it comes to the elementary athletes. So I just want to say congratulations to all these athletes for their dedication, their athleticism, and their sportsmanship. They represented DeRitter Elementary and Beauregard Parish with excellence and pride.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
16 pull-ups is 15 and a half more than I can do.
Yeah, really.
Smiling, there'll be a few more problems. Okay, anybody else? Guys?
Hey, come on.
And that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight, Madam President.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Hawley. All right, number 4, to hear a report from the Beauregard Parish Truancy Assessment and Service Center, Tasia.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Good evening. I'm Jim Middlestage, District Attorney here in Beauregard Parish. We run the Truancy Assessment and Service Center out of my office. We do that in conjunction with the Parish School Board and our great partners here at all the schools, the principals, the teachers who refer the students. In my office, we have Ms. Laura Moses, Ms. Mary Sowells, Ms. Sherry Ponce is not here, and Ms. Teresa Parmley is not here, although the rest of her family is. We also have Mr. Bud Crow. The first 4 retired teachers. Mr. Crow is married to a teacher, or a principal, actually. Or actually, now it's Parish School Board, what is it?
Director.
There you go. So they are all heavily involved in the Beauregard Parish school system. We care deeply about the children and their well-being. And we go through this every year, the statistics, how the program is doing, the benefits of the program. You have in your folders a blue, red, and white. Yeah, exactly. It has a graph on the front, or some graphs on the front. The back has some information about the program, the statistics from 2024 and overall since the beginning. This year, we had 316 students that were involved with the TASK program. 80% or 88% of those were promoted to the next grade. That is the vast majority. We had, I think, about 20, maybe 22 students that moved out of the parish, and then I think 14 or so that actually did not go to the next grade. And that may have been because of some serious illness or family issues, but regardless, they were in the program because of the absences and the tardies, and we did try to move them forward. As you know, as they progress towards high school and towards graduation, that gives us a better chance of making them successful in the community in the future. So they stay out of the criminal justice system if they stay in school. The statistics show it. That's why we continue to run this program in partnership with the school board, all of your help, and of course all the members that help us. And Mr. Eddie Joslin also is deeply involved in that. I didn't mention him. Also want to point out that this program does more than just call parents and say, hey, get your kids in school, or send Mr. Crow out and say, look, if you're not there tomorrow, we're going to have to do something else. Eventually, we can take them to court. I think we took 5, how many? 11, maybe 5 families. Is it? Yeah. So 5 sets of parents had to go to court this year and explain to the judge or the judges why they couldn't get their kid to school. Because it's usually not the kid that's kicking and screaming and refusing. It's usually the parent who has an issue, whether it's working late or just doesn't get up in the morning, whatever it is. And it really harms those kids, and the kids want to be in school for the most part. They need to be in school. They need to see their friends and continue their education. Math, especially, you got to do it every day. You got to keep moving forward, and the more they're there, the better it is for everybody. So the program also helps out at Christmas time, sponsoring families. The families that we touch during the school year, we actually try to help out at other times of the year, including holidays like Christmas, and make sure that there is food on the table and there are gifts for the children to keep them healthy and happy at home as well. So those are a few of the things. I know we've got a big agenda today. We've got bond issues and budget issues and so forth. But I don't want to just not talk about the program. It is very important. We do very much appreciate all of the effort that you put into it as board members, but also that all the school personnel, teachers in my office, and law enforcement put into the program as well. So if there are any questions about the program, I'm happy to, yes.
Yeah, we've been in the hybrid calendar for
Yes.
a while now, so have you seen benefits or differences of any sort?
As far as truancy,
Truancy on one side and I guess delinquency or bad behavior on the other side?
so there've been a bunch of absences on Fridays. No.
Or,
I haven't run the numbers.
yeah, I was,
And I can
wondered
speak
if you
for
seen.
discipline. Mr. Johnson came to me at the end of May, and we were down 15 to 20% on hearings total through the year.
Pretty significant.
Yeah, because he was very concerned because of the same concerns that were shared. But and when he came in, was like, can't believe this, but here it is. So I'll get the exact numbers and have them to you. But I remember that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, I just know that, next year, next calendar year, we're supposed to be
Yes, sir.
talking about
Well, it'd be interesting to hear from the sheriff's office as well.
Well, I will tell
Right,
you.
because that was a concern for the activities, right?
that.
So,
Right.
And
Well, I
this-
can tell you, our juvenile docket is busy, but it's always busy. I wouldn't necessarily say right now, without running the numbers, I wouldn't say right now that it has any direct correlation necessarily to the calendar. Nothing stands out to me at this point. Now, we will run them when we get those numbers, but, I mean, it'll be months before we can get everything through the system and look back. A lot of them are still ongoing. and we'll
Have you
figure out what
noticed
happened.
if truancy has gotten better over
It has.
so over the last couple of
Yeah, over the last few years, and that's constant contact.
Okay.
Some of the same families that we ended the school year with, before they get to the 5 absences and have to be reported, we try to contact them at the beginning of the year, for the most part. Just to touch base, hey, we're still here, we're paying attention. So I think it does help. I mean, I'm telling you, we have some hard-working people. These former teachers are, I mean, they're driven, and they're at the schools, they're on the phones, they're working. Anybody else? All right. If you do have something, I'm here. So thank y'all so much.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Lestage. I definitely appreciate all the dedication of you and your staff with this program. It is definitely beneficial, and I can't imagine where we'd be at without the program. So thank you very much. Okay, guys, number 5, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the special election held in the parish-wide school district of the parish of Beauregard, state of Louisiana, on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds therein. A lot.
We need to shorten those agenda items.
I think so too, Miss Pam.
We talked about it, but we're going to get there. Congratulations, obviously. You did have one of the higher passage rates for school board bond issues. We had a number of them on the ballot for May 3rd. All of them passed statewide except one. But you had one of the highest passage rates, so congratulations. The resolution you have before you is simply to canvass the returns of the election. It has the official tabulation of votes in there. After adoption of this, we'll make all the post-election filings and so forth. In consultation with the superintendent and staff, we will be back at your July board meeting to kick off the first series of bonds. We anticipate processing that as quickly as possible, get out into the marketplace, make the funds available as soon as we can for projects that you have designated prior to the election. We anticipate that we'll start at the July 10th board meeting, and ultimately we'll have delivery of the bonds, the first series of bonds and funds in the account, construction account, on September 25th. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Stephanie Ferry with Raymond James, financial advisor, is here also.
I'm trying to put into words, previously with our bonds, we did end up seeing an increase later on in the funds that were available to us. Could we expect maybe something like that closer to September?
The premium on the sale of the bonds? Yes, and Stephanie can address this. We had talked about this. We do anticipate you will have a premium again.
Yes, in the past, or at least your last two public offerings, you've had a premium of about 6% of the par amount. I expect that's going to be lower this time around because rates have gone up.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll probably be closer to around between 3 and 4% of whatever that par amount ends up being.
Thank you.
It's a good memory.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Hearing none? Okay. So may I have a motion, please, to take action on this?
Motion made.
Motion by Mr. Shirley, second by Mr. Redler. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next month.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, sir. All right. Item number 6, y'all be careful on your way home. To consider adopting the budget for fiscal year ending 2026 after having completed all requirements under LARS 39-1307, including public notice, public inspection, public hearing, and general summary. Ms. Ashley?
Good evening, everybody. Well, we've met the state statute for our public hearing. It has sat for the required amount of time. I haven't heard much from you. Did you have questions this evening before you all take a vote for it? The reason why, I'm dropping my pen. We're looking for it to be approved is so that we can have these funds available to the schools for when they come back on July 1 in order to be able to meet the deadlines that we have throughout the year. So with that,
I guess the question I have is, we had talked about setting aside a continual amount for sealing the roofs and for the air conditioner at Ritter High School. Where is that located? Because when
Hang on.
I look at the maintenance stuff, it's,
so it's not in maintenance.
Okay.
So where you're gonna see that is, now remember, after I have allocated all the funds in order to cover salaries, benefits, all of our required things that we need to have, I'm putting that amount of what's left into that spot. So after we have been able to pay all of our salaries and benefits and spend it all out, at this point, you do not have extra money for that point of your roof's air conditioners. With the general fund not increasing for what we get per student, a lot of our operational expenses that were in general fund ended up having to come over into AV. Because general fund, 92% of your general fund right now is covering salaries and benefits. You have only about 8% of it that was able to cover your curriculum pieces and supplies for our teachers and the other technologies that we need in order to educate our children. So there's stuff moved over into AV. When comes time for our revision, like I did this last year, if those funds become available because some supplies were not needed or things that were not forecasted that were in need that we don't end up spending it, because remember, I estimate high, especially for the cost of curriculums and our utilities. If by January those funds are available, I will add that into the revision, and you can take that money and you can restrict that. That was what I was telling Mr. Hawley. So we'll say there's $50,000 that we can put into that line item. As a board, you can take that $50,000 and say, okay, this is that $50,000. Moving forward from this point in time, this has to be allocated in our restricted expenses. Kind of like what we did with the parking, was it the band rooms? That.
Yep.
You can restrict it so that next year's budget, you have that $50,000. You will see that because it has to be part of the budget, no matter what.
And I've been talking with Mr. Insminger and Mr. Hughes, and we are projected, I think Mr. Hughes shared that with you last month, in receiving monies from hurricane, from FEMA, and insurance. I have talked with Ms. Carpenter. As that money comes in, it's going back into our reserve to take out from what we pay for. We can, and that is the plan, take that $300,000 that we want to see to redo our roofs, and that's going to go there. We know we're getting more money. It's coming. And so that's going to go into that restricted fund. We just can't say it's there now until it is.
And you have to vote on it. Now, I have not been here for that to have taken place. I think maybe some of you may have been, but it's something that you will all have to vote on in order to keep those monies restricted in our end fund balance.
So we'll have the money for the repairs though.
Yes, sir.
Is this something that I guess my issue is, we know that roofs are going to age out and begin to leak. And this is, so we're going to have to address this at some point in our budget, bill.
Yes, sir.
Going to
And
set
so-
this aside.
I am, with Mr. Green leaving us, Mr. Ensminger and I will be assuming his responsibilities for the most part, with Mr. Ensminger working under the maintenance and me with the new constructions.
We got it, it's teamwork.
I know, but with that happening, having been in the assistant position before and being in charge, and I still keep oversight of the AV. Basically, between open POs, operations, and maintenance, there's about $1.4 million. I could go and do $300,000 worth of roofs right now, but because of the way Avalon flows, and it's a January budget instead of a July budget, it's triage for us for the first part of the year. Because we don't know if Maryville's high school is going to flood and cost me $100,000 on some freak storm that come through. But when we get closer to that January timeline where the new tax is collected, I will know what my budget is, and I'm like, okay, we've had a good year physically, or both physically, F and P, and now I can do this. And so whenever we saw what the roof coatings did at South Beauregard and it was brought back up, that is on my agenda. And me and Mr. Ensminger are at the forefront of that now. So that's why I've worked with Ms. Carpenter to create that space, even though that money's not there until the revision. A plan for, okay, if we do recover money from hurricane damages, that could be something that we plan for the next 3 years there. If we get 600,000, 2 years, and then as I see how the grounds and upkeep goes, and I have that money, and I can do it once we get through the beginning of the school year. So it's like a 3-point plan, but it has been thought out, Mr. Shirley.
Were there any other questions?
So, go ahead.
You said that we run about 92% of our general fund in salaries, benefits.
That's the average.
Is that comparative to other parishes?
I mean, you could pull their data, but we have to spend, I think it's 80% at least of our general fund on instructional, and those salaries and benefits cover that statute that we have to cover. But if other parishes are probably seeing that as well, especially with this decrease in MFP money. I don't want to say a decrease in MFP monies, but the cost for us for salaries and benefits is increasing, where our monies to educate our children, it's not increasing.
So MFP just hasn't increased?
MFP has not changed since 2017.
2017?
Yes, sir.
So no inflation
Nope.
matters?
It is not, nope, they're not covering the cost of inflation, they're not covering the cost of benefit increases.
So that sounds like an uptick in the percentage,
Hmm?
the
Yes.
92%.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because our cost of benefits have gone up.
Yeah, every time insurance goes up, and it's gone up quite extensively, it reaches deeper into that bucket of money.
Have we already started seeing how many people are potentially using the Gator bill, and how are we planning for that effect?
Yes, so I work with Dr. Joanne, sorry, her last name escapes me. She was a superintendent for 14 years that works with LDOE. She is a superintendent liaison. She called me at the beginning of May and provided me with a website and a link, but she was looking at it while we were talking. Beauregard Parish, with their applications for the Gator bill, was at 31 students. Now, what I had to go in and determine was, of those 31, was that students that we were currently collecting MFP on, or were they first-time students in a system? Considering that we run pre-Ks across our parish, and pre-Ks are not funded with MFP unless they are special education. So major expense there, just to let you know. But it's a service that we need to provide for our communities. I'm not taking away from it. But when you look at who left versus who was already decided to go to XYZ private school, it's only 6. So that was in May. That was the May number on the applications. Recently, the governor pushed for an additional $50 million for the Gator bill, which the Senate did vote down. And so we do not expect any more students to qualify, so we're looking at 6 total. However, I will note I have personal experience with a family who travels a lot in my area. The majority of their kids stay in school. One of them is an athlete and does not. They had applied for the Gator bill. They did not receive it, and so they are back with us. So I know that that's probably 6 is where we're going to be total.
Thank you. Great. Does anybody else have any other questions?
That was a statement, not a question, but it was a good one.
Great.
Well, they're removing restrictions next year, so any income will qualify.
Oh, wow.
And it's majorly affecting our Medicaid program.
Now, I feel naive when it comes to a lot of things with it. So say a student qualifies for it, are they paid out immediately? And then what happens if they come in back into our school system?
I'm not sure on the payout. I do know if they treat it like they
have to
treat us.
stay out?
No, we have to, by state law, we accept them.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Now,
Yeah, they can come back, if they come back within a certain time frame.
yes, if they come back before October 1st, we can count them, we receive
But we don't
MFP.
get the money back.
That's right.
If they come back after October 1st, then we lose the first half of the MFP. If they come back after February 1st, like
We get
February 2nd,
nothing.
we get nothing for that student the entire year.
Wow.
And if they pay them how they pay school systems. In Florida, and I'll use that for an example, they pay them upfront one time. And if the state does that, and I need to check into that, I'm not sure, then you get nothing for that student no matter when they come. And the percentages on those states such as Alabama, Florida, Arizona that have done this already is about a 46% return to regular schools. Because what you have is middle-class family gets this supplement, can pay a couple $1,000s extra with the supplement to go to school. Lower class families, so lower socioeconomic, can't pay that. They get them in, they can't pay the continuing tuition, they come back. High influence or high socioeconomic families, doesn't matter to them, it's a tax break.
Yeah. Wow.
So maybe it'll settle down though once.
I think so, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was a big statement by the Senate, and just saying, because it was supposed to be, according to what was presented, a trial period, like slow introduction. And as soon as we rolled the corner, it got very aggressive.
Okay. So any more questions, comments? All right. Can I please have a motion to adopt the budget for fiscal year ending 2026? Motion by Mr. Thibodeau, second? Second by Ms. Neely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
I know
you.
the
Yes,
schools
ma'am.
are excited. They have already asked to start spending.
Item number 7, to consider continuing the maintenance stipends for 2025, 2026. It's like I can't talk tonight. Discussion. Move to table, a motion to table. Okay,
Are we moving the table to get more information?
Further discussion,
Yeah.
further information.
What information are you looking for?
Personally, I would like to see how the benefit derived from it, the certifications received from, just some return on our investment.
I thought Mr. Green, you spoke to us though, several meetings though, about that, and it was nothing but going excellent. I thought it was saving us. Yeah.
I guess my,
What we're noticing is all the work being contracted out.
I can speak
things
to
along those
last
lines.
year. Last year, I was able to provide you with a few companies, local contractors, and you saw the decrease. There was one particular plumbing company that had like a $28,000 decrease because we were able to do that. I don't know who I spoke to in the last month, but that question came up, and because we have done so many of the smaller bond projects that don't require bidding, and we use local contractors for that, there was an uptick in the amount of contractors that we use. So the data was skewed. If I were to give it to you tonight, you'd say, oh, you had Holly Lighting and Electrical out here for 150, and you only used them last year for 45. Like, I'll use 2 local that do our lights. They won the bids on our stadium lights. So that data would be difficult for you to provide to really show if it has made a difference or not. The certification evaluations we can give to you again, and allow for you to look at.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would like to see too, is just, and look, I understand, from the standpoint of a stipend versus a raise, certifications, that have to be maintained or they have to be renewed each year or how many years they go. And I understand if we just give out a raise, then it's there, right? And I know it's a lot to say every year we want to come back and we want to say, okay, what's it worth? What are we getting for that stipend, right? But I want to know.
Yes, sir.
So I guess that's the gist of it for me too,
Is why you want some more time.
Yeah.
Well, Mr.
It's
Green,
not to say no.
Yeah, you just
while
need,
Mr.
you
Green
want to
is
see
here,
more.
I don't know how long that is, but Mr. Ensminger, Mr. Green, and myself, we will try to put together a portfolio is the wrong term here, but a document for you to look over. I will go in with Ms. Carpenter and accounts payable and try to pull bond from normal maintenance and see if I can, normal contracting, and see. But someone did mention this to me about landscaping and contracting with cutting grass. That is not in lieu of maintenance. That was never their job. As we have lost outside custodians, we have transitioned to having landscaping company not replace that custodian that's still there, but to perform that service because of practicality, liability, and quickly and thoroughness of it. So that been brought up to me, and I said, oh, that's not maintenance. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, and I'd say, the last thing I would say about that is, it's not fair to come back at the, on this every year challenging, is that stipend worth anything? So
Right.
that's not what I'm doing. And eventually, maybe this board's gonna have to look at stopping the stipend and just implement a raise. If we get to a point to where we're validating the stipend every year, we're gonna have to see if the budget can handle it,
So what exactly, specifically, so we can be prepared to have, because you kind of sounded like 2 different things that you would want to see. So what is-
I got certifications.
Certifications.
Certification.
I think I would like to see if some have left, have we been able to draw more qualified people?
I can speak to one. We did get one certified electrician. Is that Greg? Did that know?
Really, another, all around, the electrician, a little bit of everything, including with our other plumber, but they're 2 of our best, which really helped us. We wouldn't have been able to even look at them before.
Yeah, so in saying that, some understanding that I need on that, did we bring that person in at a pay scale that's pulling them and drawing them? And is that stipend
Part of it.
part of it, right? So
What enticed them to get?
You know-
It's
was
still
it
less than
pay-
what they're gonna make for
Okay.
their,
The benefits and the stipend.
Yeah.
Doing what they're doing,
Okay.
but with the,
Fine.
the benefits of the insurance
Yeah,
and
really
the
good
days
insurance.
off and the whole package.
Retirement.
It's close enough now that it entices people.
Entices them.
Yeah, this is a
Okay.
side note, but I'd like to see complete packages for like teachers. I know that when you went to the job fair, like Vernon Parish had a teacher package that included insurances and everything, and down at the bottom it was like they were making $67,000 as an entry-level teacher.
You mean total
Well, ours
benefits?
shows $40,000, but we don't include the insurance and the retirement and all that.
Mm.
I think we need to be able to put a package together that says this is your starting package salary or package.
It's kind of more of like an HR product. that
Yeah.
would need to
yeah, and
be-
that would take a
Everything has
little bit
value
of
in a dollar
time
amount.
because of the
Exactly.
levels of insurance that you have and the deductions that you may, like, for instance, there's vision, hearing, your OGB.
We'll just put the most expensive ones.
Okay,
Because
Yeah,
make it
that's-
biggest and best.
Yeah, because if you put
And
the
then they-
highest one, that'll lower your salary, but this is what you get, but this is what it's worth.
Right.
I mean, it was very enticing to look at that,
Yes.
and it was, something that needs to be.
Because that's, that's when we say these stipends don't increase up to the real world values, and they may not, but you can't beat the health system that we're providing. I mean, you can't, hands down. And so if you add that into that package, I think that
It's a draw.
the,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
draw would be a lot better.
I know you and I can both speak of it.
Yep. I
It's,
mean, you can go through some major ordeals and whip out 1,200 and be in good shape.
yeah.
That, and that takes a lot of worry out of the situation.
I got chills, but it's really a blessing. Our
Yeah.
insurance is.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but last year we had changed some things, put a little more teeth to the policy, and I'm kind of wanting to see, and like I said, it's nothing, no ill intention, but wanting to see how our efforts from last year and before have carried
If-
forward.
And there's one of the things I will speak on their behalf, and it's difficult to speak solely on maintenance, because there are so many people that we lose, because though our insurance is good, the pay is below the poverty level, really, and they need to be able to pay the bills. But there's 3 guys or 4 guys that have their refrigerant certifications. They spend a lot of their time, one of them particularly, cleaning air conditioners, checking filters, and charging air conditioners across the parish. 1,000+ air conditioners, thousands. If I were to go to this company or that company, I'm paying a rollout fee for them to leave the parking lot, then an hourly fee for them to do that. But these guys, they only have that one certification, but he's saving me multiple thousands a year.
That's what I'm asking.
Now, I may have a guy who has his backwater prevention certification. Well, he's not a plumber, but in our rural areas where we have these multiple systems, he can go and do a certain amount of things. And there was one about someone who had a lead-based paint certification. I understand that argument. It does not exist anymore. And that's when we put the new teeth in, Ms. Neely, for this.
That actually wasn't used, by the way.
Head Start.
Yeah, we probably have it at our.
Head Start.
So,
That's why I was,
yeah, yeah, and I guess, Mr. Redler, I'll say this right now at this point, with hearing that, I'm okay with not tabling it and moving it on, because look, if they got the certifications, we're making progress throughout there. They're not gonna be specialized in a lot of things to where we still not gonna have to reach out to a contractor to come in and hit some bigger items and this and that, but their value is there, obviously, and if we can pull better people because of that, and we can, manage and maintain this stipend to help that, then I'm for it.
what I'm looking at is, I got 15 certificates last month alone. 45 minutes to 3 hours. I'd like to, and this is just me, something that they have to work toward, and that will provide a tangible benefit to us and justify what we're spending. We have fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. So giving this money out, I say that, giving it out, they're earning it by getting their certifications. I want to see it's justified. If it is, then I'm all for it. Show someone their value. If it doesn't have value, I can't see paying for it.
One of the
And I
things I
think, Mr.
can-
Green, at one time, and that's what Ms. Neely's talking about, you gave us the numbers. You gave us the savings, and you gave us,
Yeah.
where we benefited and where
I
that
presented
value
that to
was,
you
right?
last year.
You did.
And I tried to do
You
that
did.
this year, but that's where I told you I ran into all the bond projects have been big and have been handled by outside contractors, coming out like trolls that we don't rarely use. But when you get into locals, and we try to keep our business local with our small projects, it started muddying the water, so it's like, does it? But I know one thing I can pull. This AC unit right here, we did. We reinstalled a brand new unit here, and we are transitioning to a lot of mini splits, and we do all of that. So, Coach, if I can pull all the mini splits, just give me a count of all the mini splits we put in. You don't have to do it
We
tonight.
have a spreadsheet we've been keeping over the past year. The one that keeps up, like every time we replace a mini split or a bar or whatever, it's saving us like $13,000.
That's what you want.
That's-
We have that,
And I'm not saying, but, and I think, and this is just me personally, I think some of the problems we've seen in the past is we let things go just because they were. I need to see, to continue, I don't need to review it last year or 2 years ago. I need to review it every year to determine if it's worth continuing each year.
And I guess that's why I was talking about the fact that, you know, are we gonna continue to do this every year? Because if we apply it as just a raise, a one-time raise, there's the expectation of that work is still upon them, and they should be held accountable for that, right? It's not like they're gonna not maintain their certifications or go and try to get new certifications, right?
We have to see the accountability on that.
Well, I understand, I
Well, and
understand.
this is where it's a different, you're dealing with tradespeople, and to me, this is the most real-world situation that we have in the school system, where you're getting paid by your value, and you can go up and down. That's the point, or the question I had, is that there's going to be people who abuse the system, so to speak. And so I'd like to know if we could develop some sort of strike three strikes and you get, it costs you in that stipend. So that if a principal walks out and they're on the track having relay races, hey, that's a strike. And that principal can call, let you know, and you get 2 or 3 of those and, hey, you're gonna go down the ladder.
Our maintenance employees are the only employees that have biannual evaluations.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have them at the end of June, starting out the new year with, if they don't reach 75% successful, they don't get the stipend. Because our first year, we had 3 or 4 that didn't qualify. But, yeah, I understand, and that,
Yeah.
I agree.
I think what we have to be cautious of is just that, you know, we're not their supervisors. You know, so ultimately, we're charging people to hold them accountable. And from my view, it seems that they are. We also have to keep in mind that the stipend was designed to close the gap between what they can make on the market, in the open market in the school system, because the gap had grown so much for the last few years. And so, I agree with Scott. I mean, you know, at some point, I don't know that I like the idea of hashing this out in great detail every single year. I'd like more of a bird's eye view, like hey, here's some recommendations, some high level recommendations. Is this working? What's not working? You know, slap on the back. But you know, I'm not saying that you dismiss accountability, but at the same time, like that's their job, is to hold them accountable. And if they're doing that, which it sounds like they are,
I would
then,
be
you
afraid
know,
to make it permanent, Mr. Green.
Yes.
I would be afraid to make it permanent because I am afraid
Yeah.
because of the
No,
tax collection.
Right, and I agree, and that's my point, is that, like, we, on the one hand, we absolutely need to make sure that these guys are doing it, but on the other hand, we as a board are not their supervisors, and that we, you know, I need to see how many certifications you have, and this is my point of view, you know, that we need to see how many certifications you have, what have you done for me lately, kind of thing, when I just need a guy who has a certification to be an electrician, so I'm not having to call XYZ contractor down the road. Like, sometimes it's just that simple, like, we need to be able to pay enough to not hire this out constantly. And so what are we going to do this is where the stipend comes in, right? And so, I don't know, like.
Well, can I say this, Mr. Green? And this is a question. So from the evaluations, there's a score. Now, when we approve this stipend, do y'all decide who gets this stipend, or is it across the board?
If they've done their certifications and they're, like, they get, like, depending on what level they are, maintenance 1, 2, 3, but right now ours is maintenance 2s and 3s. And if they pass their evaluation, then
So that's the bar,
yeah.
that's the bar though, just passing the evaluation.
It's pretty stringent.
Okay.
It's not like just pass fail. mean,
100
no, it's
items?
25 items. I have to look at it, but it's like 3 pages.
Does the evaluation, what all does it
Yeah, I think we
affect?
looked
Is
at one
there
before.
a salary increase involved also? Or is it just, so the salary is guaranteed every year based on
Salary is-
At a
that?
certain level, then you get the max for your benefit. If you score like in the middle, like instead of, like say your maintenance 3, you get 30%, you drop down to 10%, you score it down to this level, you get 0. So it depends on what
Yeah,
level you're.
And maybe having that stuff wrote out, you know, you may have to hand that to us every year.
And I'm, like I said, and I'm not asking for us as a board to have to discuss every year, but maybe, you know, if we get our packets and we can, you know, we can, kind of like looking at the budget or anything else, we have time to look over it. Because like I said, end of the day, we don't want to micromanage like Mr. Green said. But we are responsible for the taxpayers' dollars in this parish, and ours included. So before I go to, and I do it in the real world, and I say that in my day job. When I go to my boss and I ask for so-and-so to have an increase, I better be able to validate it. And that's what I'm not saying micro, but show me the benefit, show me the value, and then I'm all for it.
Can you tell me what was the ballpark total in stipends we gave out last year for the total department?
About 125.
125,000?
Among, I'm sorry, Ms. Neely, go ahead.
No,
That's for.
Among
was
how
for you.
many, among how many?
125,000 total,
That's for
But among
13
how many employees? 13 employees.
13 employees.
And
you
that,
just-
and that's who makes up that maintenance department.
That's who makes it.
So, again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. If I'm one of those 13 people every year, I'm looking for this board to approve the stipends. And although I agree with, you know, making sure that that value's there and all that accountability's there, that's another topic though, that's another discussion, right? Because that also has to be at the admin level, at the local level. Making sure that you're getting the reports of the work and all that too, right? So there's a lot of communication that has to happen right there. But eventually, I would, maybe not the whole full 120 or 125, whatever it is, but somewhere we have to start rewarding these guys that are maintaining those certifications and that are getting those 80s and 90s on their evaluations. We got to find a way to, you know, make that a permanent fixture on their pay. You know, we owe it to them to look at it at least, right?
And
We owe it to them because he just said that they saved us $13,000 on a mini split per unit. Is that per
then
unit?
show me.
Well, I don't have,
and-
he doesn't have to show me because I trust him. He just
But
told me he
I'm a
saved
numbers.
us that.
I need to see it hard numbers. And I look at it too, and you know, we're trying to set a precedent because this is just me again. There's others that have to have certifications, have to maintain credentials, et cetera, et cetera. I want something in place where we can look at other employees and I need validation.
And I think that's a slippery slope for me right now because we're not taking any other employee's packet of verification of their value, right?
We don't have any. We don't have
And I
any.
understand that. I understand, and I understand that this is a special case because it's a stipend, right? Yeah.
And while it is a stipend, which we did it rather than permanent, and stipends are not given, they're not guaranteed.
Right.
This is becoming expected. So.
But we're
I
also
need-
expecting it out of them too, though.
And they may, so my expectation is, show me. I'm not telling you I'm not gonna give it to you. Show me. Show me, you know, I can go back and I can justify in my world increases and I can say, look, they're doing this, they saved me X number of dollars. What I'm giving is a fraction of it. It's value. It has a tangible, I can see it.
So I'll go back to what Mr. Hodges referred to earlier. We had a couple of knuckleheads early on. As soon as we implemented the stipend with the evaluations, and those 2 or 3 didn't get it, however many it was, immediately the work went way up. And so the top end is always worked really hard. It was that bottom end that needed the motivator, and it worked in that capacity. Second thing I'd tell you is if you really want to know, go ask the people they're working for. Ask your administrator. Ask Miss Wynn, Miss Bradford, Mark Wood, and whoever.
And if I'm being honest, that's why, when I started this, and I don't want to sound like I'm wishy-washy about it, but, you know, there's got to be a healthy discussion about it, right? And that's all I'm wanting to do is put everything out on the table and discuss it. But when I do have some of those discussions with the administration, some of it isn't happy about the work. So, you know,
And that's where I think we need good feedback from the administrators to you so that the evaluations are accurate as to what work performed. And just go back to what you said about, you know, a couple guys who realized when they weren't going to get that stipend, they upped their productivity. I think it's just human nature. If you say you're going to guarantee it, that behavior that was here is just going to.
That's where the evaluations come in. And that's
I'm just
where-
saying if you make it permanent.
Well,
The
that's
accountability.
where it
Well, we're not
comes in.
voting
If
on
you're
this to
not-
be permanent.
Right, getting your evaluation, you're not getting that mark, and you get that mark, and the next year you don't hit that mark, you need to go home.
Yeah, and that's what I hear what Mr. Edler is suggesting, and I think that in large part we are doing that. Like, it seems that between certifications and twice a year evaluations, which nobody else does, like, just because we don't have all the details in our folder, doesn't mean that these things aren't being done. And I would say that those same things carry over into other realms of public education too. That, you know, we're asking teachers to do X, Y, and Z in order to qualify for this benefit or to continue to work or whatever. And we don't necessarily see everything that they're doing, but, you know, we're being told like, hey, look, this is the system in place. This to make sure that these teachers are doing their jobs and blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, I guess where I'm at is, you know, that we treat them the same, in that. I feel like we're kind of talking in circles at this point, on some of this stuff. And so,
well,
like, you know.
but it's not a bad discussion. It's a
No,
healthy
not at all.
discussion and it needs to be
I'm just saying, I
had.
think we're kind of starting to repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So was there a motion? Did I
There's a
miss
motion
something?
at the moment to table, with
Yeah, I
the
think I-
discussion. So, with the motion on the floor, do I have a second for the motion? So Mr. Redler provided the motion, Mr. Shirley seconded. All those in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
Can I get a roll, please? 3, 4, okay. All those in, against tabling tonight, please say aye.
I just heard that.
All right.
I think they're doing it. 4 to 4?
Yep, 4 and 4.
Motion fails.
All right, so back to item number 7, to consider continuing the maintenance stipend for 2025, 2026. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
2. Mr. Shirley? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Motion carries. All right. Item number 8, to appoint the official journal for 2025, 2026.
All right, good evening, everybody. We do this one every year. So we are looking to appoint our official journal this year as, I gotta find where I'm at, the Beauregard News. Is that how, the news leader?
News leader.
I'm going to read the whole document. In accordance with Louisiana Revised Statutes 43:141 and 43:150, the governing authority of the School Board of Beauregard has selected the news leader, P.O. Box 2893, Lake Charles, Louisiana 70602. Their emails, their phone numbers. The official school board journal has selected by said school board on the 13th day of June of the year of 2025. Is that supposed to say 25, Ms. Pam, or 24? Okay. Of the June of the year 2025 in the manner provided by law for the period beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. Do you have any questions, Miss Nikki? I see you.
Nope, I was reading.
Okay.
All good. Alrighty. Any discussion tonight, guys? Okay. Can I get a motion to appoint this official journal to the news leader? Mr. Sandiford, can I have a second, please? Mr. Thibodeau, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 9, to consider lease agreement with TRIO Community Meals for use of the cafeteria facilities at the Title I Media Center for senior meals for July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
You read it as it is. I have the lease agreement. If any of you wanted to look at it, I can pass it around, but it's no change from last year.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Any discussion? No? Nope. All right. Motion to accept from anybody? Miss Neely, a second. Mr. Arshield. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 10, to receive the financial reports from the prior month.
These are the financial reports for May. We are moving right along in closing out our fiscal year. Ms. Rose and I said 5 years ago when we came into both of our positions that in 3 to 5 years, we will have our financial software in line, all 27,000 ledger lines in line, and we did it. So we are going into this fiscal year pretty excited. I'm just going to give you a couple highlights because y'all have been here for quite some time. General fund and ad valorem, this is going to go to you. These are unaudited numbers just because we haven't closed the year out just yet. We still have outstanding invoices that still need to be paid. But at this point in time, which you can look at after we have our audit as well, whatever we're putting into our reserve. From our general fund, we are looking at this point, about $2 million to be able to move into the reserve. Now, mind you, we still have some salaries that still need to be paid out for the rest of the year, but we're still getting our MFP dollars. On the ad valorem side, we are looking right around $1 million at this point in time. Remember, we still have salaries to pay out and still have outstanding invoices, but as of today, when I run those numbers, that's where you're at. So I can do those again in August and let you know where our year ended, but they'll be more accurate once we finalize our audit, and then you can decide to restrict any of those funds that'll go into the reserve for future projects as well. You all had the sales tax numbers that went out yesterday and hit bank accounts today. Everything looked well as to where we were. Did you have any questions regarding the documents I sent you? Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
And item number 11, to consider awarding bids for additions and renovations at Singer High School.
Last Thursday, June 5th at 11 a.m., we took bids for the renovations and additions at Singer High School. We had 3 companies bidding, and the low bid was to K&J Development at $912,000. We recommend that the board accept this, and so that we can move forward ASAP.
Yes, sir. All right, any discussion? Okay. Can I have a motion, please, to consider awarding or to award bids to K&J Development? Mr. Thibodeau, second. Ms. Neely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay,
All right.
Madam President, I have 2 points of information before we leave.
Yes, sir.
Referring back to item 7, I do have a list that was asked. I am still going to provide that to you, even though it has passed. Just give me a little time, and I'll get it to you. And then
And I'll just say this, to prevent this next year, let's go ahead and have that prepared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I will ask, though, with the end of school and this coming very close together, our plates get very full with graduations. and it doesn't always show up on the radar. So when the agenda goes out and no one says anything till the day of, or just let me know ahead of time and I'll get it for you. But on a good, positive note, we are in week 2 of our food boxes that have gone out. And as of this past Tuesday, we have given out 11,221 meal boxes. That's over 2 weeks. And we have 7,774 registered applicants, or registered people. So we are taking care of our kiddos over the summer. Kudos to Ms. Smith and the many, many people that are helping her. It is not just Ms. Smith and Ms. Wendy, but it is teachers and our warehouse
Stop passing
people.
out those
And
boxes.
some of your spouses are there, so.
Scanning that
Thank
code
you.
is much easier.
A question real fast. It seems like that's an increase from last year. Isn't it an increase from last year?
Our total amount of boxes last year was about 40,000. And so we'll run boxes till
8 weeks,
the last week of July. So if we're on this pace, we're going to exceed that by about 20,000.
Yeah,
They made it a lot easier to register.
with the QR code and all that. Yeah, that, that is awesome. Well, good. Okay. Well, if there is no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion?
Mr. Sanford, second? All right.